Thanks, Jackie, for joining me. I wanted to have a chance to have a conversation with you, and we're meeting by Zoom, so this is an experiment. I have no idea how this recording will turn out. It's it's before 7 a.m. on a Sunday, my time, and it's in the evening in Jackie's time. So I have my morning coffee. I don't know if Jackie has started his cocktail hour or not, but it's after
No,
5 p.m.
no
No
cocktail
cocktail
for
for
me.
me.
Sunday,
Sunday,
I'm
I'm
taking a
taking a
break
break
from
from
alcohol and
alcohol and
any
any
other
other
vices.
vices.
Just
Just
watches.
watches. There you go. Well, I wanted to start off by just recounting a little bit about how we met because really that watch was the first thing I knew about you because, I started seeing it on Instagram. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then, started learning a little bit about how it was associated with Wacho and Co. And then I realized, oh, wait, I think Jackie is a member of Collector Sphere, and so then through that I was able to reach out to you. So just to give everyone a little bit of a background, Collector Sphere is like a group of it's organized by Alex Friedman, and it's run by Elisa Morales and James Eaton, and it's basically a group of collectors that they've assembled who get together for different events in real life. It's a global group, so oftentimes we're in disparate parts of the world. As we'll talk about, Jackie is associated with Hong Kong, but not just Hong Kong. and But anyway, it's a group of collectors that we interact mainly in a WhatsApp group, but we also have the opportunity to get together for watch events around the world, whether it's in New York, whether it's in Hong Kong, whether it's in Switzerland, in Geneva, and it's just been a really wonderful way of getting to know people across the globe because we already interact on things like Instagram and things like that, but it gives us a place to kind of have a conversation in common. And it was really, I was thankful because I guess I could have watched, I may have even reached out to you through your Instagram initially, but in any case, knowing that you were part of the group, I was able to reach out to you. And Jackie, if you don't mind, share with everyone a little bit about, in general, about your background, not just Watch Ho and Co., but who you are and where you grew up and what you were up to, and then maybe start talking about why you formed Watch Ho and Co. and how that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
So,
So,
yeah, I'm
yeah, I'm
very
very
grateful that
grateful
we
that we
met,
met,
and
and
it was
it
an
was an
honor
honor
to
to
one of
one
your
of your
guests at
guests at
Harvard
Harvard
Club,
Club,
your
your
watch
watch
club that
club
was
that was
there.
great.
That was
That was
definitely an
definitely an
experience,
experience,
and
and
one of
one
the
of the
highlights of
highlights
my
of my
year
year
last
last
year.
year.
And
And
so, a
so, a
little bit
little bit
about
about
me:
me,
born
born
in
in
Hong
Hong
Kong,
Kong,
raised
raised
until I
until I
was
was
5
5
by my
by my
grandparents,
grandparents,
and
and
then
then
we
we
emigrated
emigrated
to
to
Ireland.
Ireland.
My whole
My whole
family
family
did.
did.
And
And
I
I
grew up
grew up
my
my
adult
adult
life
life
mostly in
mostly in
Ireland.
Ireland,
And
and
I
I
moved
moved
back
back
to
to
Hong
Hong
Kong
Kong
about
about
2018,
2018,
2019,
2019,
just
just
kind of
kind of
before
before
COVID.
COVID.
And
And
through
through
that,
that,
Watch
Watch
Ho and
Ho and
Co.,
Co.,
which the
which the
co
Co
doesn't
doesn't
stand
stand
for
for
company, it
company, it
actually
actually
stands
stands
for
for
community.
community.
But I
But I
guess
guess
Watch
Watch
Ho and
Ho and
community
community
is
is
more of
more
a
of a
mouthful,
mouthful,
so
so
it's
it's
easier to
easier to
say
say
Watch
Watch
Ho and
Ho and
Co.
Co.
or
or
WHHC.
WHC.
And
And
when we
when
were
we were
locked
locked
down
down
during
during
COVID,
COVID,
we
we
only
only
had
had
certain
certain
times and
times and
certain
certain
number of
number of
people
people
that
that
could
could
meet
meet
up,
up,
and
and
everyone
everyone
obviously
obviously
was
was
bored
bored
from
from
being
being
at
at
home.
home.
We
We
couldn't
couldn't
socialize, we
socialize, we
couldn't
couldn't
get
get
together.
together.
And
And
whenever
whenever
we
we
could, we
could, we
organized,
organized
like, lunches,
lunches,
meetups,
meetups,
and
and
obviously we
obviously we
had to
had to
do
do
social,
social.
what did they
What did they
call it?
call it?
Social
Social
restriction?
restriction. Yeah.
No,
No, what?
what was
What
it
was it
called?
called? Well, we had lockdown, which is just lockdown, and then Gosh,
with the
it's
number
so
of
weird.
people as
Like
well.
it was just like yesterday, and yet
Yeah, what was
it's
what
like
was the term?
we want to forget that it even happened.
Yeah, okay, let's not get into
Social
that.
restrictions. I don't know.
Or something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was the one then who was tasked to organize these small meetups during COVID, and obviously it got more popular, and then the COVID started clearing up. We had less restrictions, and it just got bigger and bigger through
So
that.
tell
Then,
me
like,
like a little bit about, there were, this is a new watch club essentially in Hong Kong, and there were previous, there are other watch clubs in Hong Kong, and I feel like there was a specific purpose that you had and why you formed your watch club.
yeah, but we never really set out to do it because it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication, and I really didn't want to do it at the start. But I guess I wouldn't say I was pressured into it, but we wanted a voice to be able to talk to the brands, influence them from a collector's point of view. And so we had to set up something official and also getting invited to events. It was just primarily just me and a few others, but if we had an entity, an official group, then we could get more headcounts. So that was the main reason behind it.
Well, I also
And
love your motto, and I remember when we were talking about it because I was comparing our watch clubs, which are actually in some ways very similar, in some ways very different. But first of all, your motto and your philosophy in terms of who can participate.
yeah, so our motto is good vibes only. So it's always to bring positivity, inclusivity, and passion. And also, we also say that we're not snobby. We welcome everyone, no matter what's on your wrist, no matter how much it's valued and the size of your collection. It's about bringing like-minded people together, enthusiasts who respect one another and also want to get into this hobby and learn about horology in general because no one holds all the information, right? I might know a couple of brands very well, but if we're as a group, we definitely are stronger together and with knowledge that each individual brings.
Yeah, so so my group, we have a similar philosophy. We don't have a formal motto per se, and I deal with a lot of young people because it's through the Harvard Club. So there would be recent graduates, and unfortunately, this hobby can get very snobby because the fact is. Some of the most interesting timepieces are often quite expensive, so it naturally comes together. So how do you deal with that? And some kids who are, oh, they come by like, oh, this is interesting. I'd like to join, but I don't have anything fancy to wear. And I tell them in terms of our club, we're not about what's on your wrist or what you own, but whether you're interested in learning. And so you can have no watch, you can have an Apple Watch or whatever. So I like to joke that our club is the most inclusive watch club in the world once you have a Harvard degree. So it's like a ridiculous thing, right? Because unfortunately, you have
Yes.
to remember the Harvard Club in New York, which means you have to, So we're very
Yeah, for sure.
inclusive once you get stamped, by Harvard.
Yeah. Once you're a member of that
Anyway,
elite community.
but and it was such a pleasure having you. As we had no idea what we were doing when we first started this. Our club, we didn't know if people in the club would even participate, and we've had like a very nice run. Like it turns out that we have something like email list of 200 some odd people, but because we have our meetings at the club on a weeknight evening, Typical attendance is on the order of about 20 people. So that, which is perfect. You know, like I don't know, we don't cut off. We don't have a capacity for our meetings, but it just works out to about 20 people. I don't know what I would do if 200 people showed up. It would be like, uh-oh. But the 20 is actually a great number because it's an intimate setting. So when you come, or we've had Max Booster come and other noted people within the watch world, it turns into a very intimate and special event. So it's been a nice thing to do.
Absolutely, I can attest to that. We had a great evening.
Yeah. But anyway, so tell me about your annual watches and things like that. I mean, I don't know if I even pronounce it correctly, but the Joy, or how do you correctly pronounce it?
Joy,
Joy,
joy.
Joy.
Yeah.
So for an English person, I guess it's Joy is the sound, kind of the closest sound, but it's spelled Jui.
Mhm.
And that was your second one, but your first one, your first, if I understand, that was your second anniversary or second commemorative watch. So what was the first one?
Yes. So we didn't actually
By the
have
way,
a
I have.
first year of watch. Oh, there you go. Gorgeous. So we actually didn't have a first year club.
Oh, okay.
No, we didn't because we never really again set out to be like making club watches annually. And it was always in the back of my mind to do something cool with the brand that we really resonated with. But we never came across it until we came across our friends in Zentier. So they had a really cool design. It was a homage in the John Schaefer case, you know, the old neo vintage and vintage APs. And I'm a really big fan of vintage and neo vintage APs. Not of modern. I think the stuff that they did back then was way more interesting and way more creative.
I'm not going to make too much of an editorial comment, but just say that I agree.
Fair enough. And so, yeah, so Morton, who's the founder of Zentir, he's also a member of our club. I've known him for a good few years. He's a good friend. He came to me with this design, and I instantly fell in love with it. And we talked a little bit, and he was gracious enough to allow me to have this as a first club watch, and also the first model or the first edition of this new model to launch it with us. So we launched a malachite dial, and it's a jump hour watch,
I love malachite, by the way.
and a cushion case. Yeah, and we did 88 pieces. Because at the time I was like, okay,
88. I wonder why
yeah,
you would do 88. Can you explain to people what 88 is
88.
significant?
Obviously, 8 is a very lucky number in Chinese culture. So, you know, double 8, double the luck, double the prosperity, etc.
And if
But
I
because,
understand it correctly, it's because the double eight somewhat looks like the Chinese character for happiness a little bit.
yeah, a little bit like that too.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I think the minimum order was like 100, but again, Morton was like, "Don't worry, you go take 88, and I'll take the rest of the other cases for my order."
Okay.
And I was pretty nervous and apprehensive about it because I never launched the club watch. It was the first one. Didn't know how well it'd be received, if people would like it or not. It's a new model from this brand. Okay, he's had other watches. He's established for 5 or 6 years, but this is a completely new model, new case, new complications, if you want to call it, jump out of that. And so we did 88. And as it turns out, it was sold out within a minute. And yeah, so everyone was going crazy online, FOMOing and trying to get one. But yeah, so we were really taken back and overwhelmed by the demand. And all through those days, I was just replying to DMs after DMs, apologizing to people. And it got to a stage where I had to just copy and paste my replies because I was just saying the same thing day in day out. I was spending hours just replying to people, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it was just taking up so much of my time, and I felt so bad reading people's DMs saying how disappointed and upset they were not being able to get one of our club watches, which is an honor already for someone to want one of our watches. So that was a great success, and we never thought it would be like that. So on the back of all that demand and request for another version of this, we very quickly came up with a lapis style, another version, another stone dial version of this saute model, and it was called Mount Fuji because the lapis stone dial, the pattern, the colors, the textures, the glittering pyrite was in there. It reminded me of the night I spent at Mount Fuji in the onsen and looking out at Mount Fuji at nighttime. So I wanted to capture that in the lapis style.
That's very cool. And so then, like I said, I think I was long after your initial release of the Zentia watch because I definitely knew of that watch, but not specifically that specific launch when you had the Malak. Like I was not aware of that at the time, and then but then the Joy came out and. Tell me little bit about how you ended up collaborating with Leonardo and Sultan and all that.
So I actually knew about Sultan for a few years before we collaborated. I was introduced by a friend, but their models and design language didn't really resonate or speak to me at the time. So Daniel Wang then reconnected me with them and told them, hey, look, they have some really cool stuff coming out. I think you'd like it. They specialize in dials because Leo's family has a dial factory, so come up with really cool dials. So it's maybe something that you would appreciate. So we met up, I think, Christmas 2024. Is it 2024? Yeah, 2024. Christmas of 2024. We talked about it, and then he showed me all his new models, how he's improved over the years, and now he has specialized and perfected the CNC on mother of pearl. And I was like, oh wow, CNC on mother of pearl. I've never really heard of it before. I've heard of guilloche, as in actually people hand guillocheing mother of pearl. And obviously, it's very tricky because it's very brittle and fragile, so you can't really scale it. And the failure rate is super high when you do it by hand, it cracks a lot. So I was like, okay, you can do it with CNC now. Technology has improved that much. I was like, okay, I was really interested to see it. So then he showed me a couple of designs and prototypes that he had, and I was like, wow, this is spectacular. I've never seen an MOP engraved with that much complexity, and also the level of depth and texture and 3D and then the colors. I didn't think it was mother of pearl out at the start. So then I was like, okay, well, if you can, you're confident that you can do this across a variety of different designs, then I think I'd be very interested in doing something together. So from that, I think Christmas 2024, we launched August 2025, Joy. So Joy in Chinese and Cantonese means to meet or to gather. So it represents our community, our hobby of collecting watches, of bringing the community together, of our club, of all the people in it, and also connecting with other watch collectors and enthusiasts across the world.
Yeah, it was, well, again, I think it was a spectacular success. I don't know if it sold out in minutes, but I have a feeling this time you did 100 pieces? How many did you do?
No,
No,
for
for
Joy,
Joy,
we
we
did a
did a
pre-sale
pre-sale
window.
window. Ah, okay. So it wasn't limited
So
in
that
strict
means we would
numerical
make as
terms,
many as
right?
people
People
ordered
ordered
within
within
that
that
window.
window.
So
So
then
then
no
no
one
one
would
would
be
be
upset
upset
for
because
those
you
pieces
were
that
concerned about the previous time where like
yes,
you
I
got all
didn't want to
those
let anyone
DMs and
down.
everything. How long?
Yeah, and this is
Remind me, how
one
long was your window? I forgot.
72
72
hours over
hours
the
over the
weekend.
weekend. So
Friday,
how many
Saturday, and
orders did you end
Sunday.
up getting?
Just
Just
under a
under a
thousand.
thousand.
Yeah, it was a
It's a
lot.
lot,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I was one of those.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
It
It
was.
was.
It
It
was.
was.
I
I
still have
still
to
have to
pinch
pinch
myself
myself
today
today
how
how
viral it
viral it
went,
went,
how
how
well
well it was
received in the
received in the
community, and
community, and
how
how
it
it
resonated with
resonated with
everyone.
everyone.
So,
So
like, it
like it
left
left
us
us
really,
really,
really
really
speechless
speechless
and
and
really,
really,
really
really
filled our
filled our
hearts with
hearts
a
with a
lot of
lot of
joy and
joy and
positivity
positivity
that,
that,
a
a
small
small
micro
micro
brand in
brand in
Hong
Hong
Kong, a
Kong, a
small
small
watch
watch
club in
club in
Hong
Hong
Kong,
Kong,
we
we
came up
came
with
up with
something
something
like
like
this
this
to
to
celebrate our
celebrate our
second
second
anniversary.
anniversary.
And the
And the
message we
message we
had
had
was to
was to
bring
bring
people
people
together.
together.
And I
And I
think we
think we
really
really
achieved
achieved
that.
that. And then you've gone on to do some other editions, some still mother pearl, but with some different tints.
Yes,
Yes,
so
so
with
with
them
them
we
we
still
still
had a
had a
lot of
lot of
demand
demand
because it
because
was
it was
only
only
72
72
hours
hours.
run. So there's
So
a
there's
lot
a
of
lot of
people
people
asking us,
asking us,
oh,
oh,
we'd
we'd
still
still
like to
like to
get
get
one. And
one.
we're
And
like,
I'm
we're
like, we're
sorry,
sorry,
the
when the
pre-sale
pre-sale
window is
window is
closed.
closed.
But
But
then
then
when we
when we
first
first
started prototyping
prototyping
Joy,
Joy,
we
we
had a
had a
white
white
MOP.
MOP.
So
So
then we
then we
had
had
wind
wind
up
up
in
in
New
New
York,
York,
and we
and we
brought
brought
the
the
prototypes with
prototypes with
us, and
us,
we
and we
got
got
such
such
good
good
feedback.
feedback.
Then
Then
we
we
came
came
out
out
with
with
Joy
Joy
Bawina,
Bawina,
based
based
on the
on the
Hong
Hong
Kong
Kong
flag,
flag,
the
the
Bawina
Bawina
flowers on
flowers
the
on the
Hong
Hong
Kong
Kong
flag.
flag.
And the
And the
Bawina
Bawina
flower
flower
is
is
purple
purple
and
and
also
also
pink.
pink.
So we
So we
came
came
out
out
with
with
a
a
couple's
couple's
watch,
watch,
so to
so to
speak.
speak.
One
One
tinted
tinted
purple and
purple and
one
one
tinted
tinted
pink.
pink. So,
And they
and they
were
were
a
by
limited
the way,
edition of
do you start
200
with white
pieces.
mother of pearl and then tint them? Is that how it works?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
tint them
tint them
from the
from the
back
back
because
because
white
white
MOP
MOP
is
is
so
so
transparent.
transparent.
With the
With the
white,
white,
anything you
anything you
put on
put
the
on the
back,
back,
it
it
completely
completely
lifts the
lifts the
color.
color. I see.
So
So
on the
on the
front
front
of the
of the
dial,
dial,
it's
it's
still the
still the
same
same
pattern
pattern
as
as
Joy,
Joy,
the
the
original
original
one,
one,
which is the
which is the
mountain
mountain
pattern.
pattern.
But
But
now
now
you
you
have a
have a
very
very
dynamic
dynamic
pink and
pink and
purple
purple
MOP.
MOP. Oh, but remind me, the pattern, if I remember right, that CNC etched is inspired by some Chinese armor, or
Yeah,
yeah,
in
in
ancient
ancient
Chinese
Chinese
armor,
armor,
they
they
wore
wore
a
a
chainmail
chainmail
in
in
that
that
particular
particular
pattern,
pattern,
and they
and they
call it
call it
mountain
mountain
pattern.
pattern. I see.
And
And
yeah,
yeah,
that's where
that's
we
where we
got it
got it
from. So
from. So
for
for
us,
us,
it
it
had
had
a
a
different
different
meaning. We
meaning. We
weren't
weren't
going to
going to
war, we
war, we
weren't
weren't
under
under
attack,
attack,
but
but it felt
it
it
meant to
meant
us
to us
that
that
we were
we were
all
all
connected
connected
because
because
it's a
it's a
geometric
geometric
pattern.
pattern. Yeah.
So
So
it
it
meant
meant
that
that
like
like
each
each
collector,
collector,
each
each
community,
community,
local and
local and
globally, we're
globally,
all
we're all
connected.
connected. So now, the reason why we're talking now is that you're about to launch, and I'm not going to, release this video until after the official launch time, but
Mhm.
you're about to launch your next watch. Can you tell us a little bit about how this came about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
It's
It's
called
called
Yamcha.
Yamcha.
And
And
Yamcha
Yamcha
in
in
Chinese and
Chinese and
Cantonese
Cantonese
literally
literally
means to
means to
drink
drink
tea.
tea.
Yam
Yum
is
is
drink,
drink. Cha.
and
Yeah.
cha
Cha
is
is
tea.
tea. And it's
Right?
the same
Similar
word
to
in
Korean,
Korean, by
right?
the way.
Yes,
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 yes.
yes. Yeah.
So,
So,
but
but
if you
if you
say to
say to
someone,
someone,
hey,
"Hey,
Chris,
Chris,
let's
let's
go
go
Yamcha,
Yamcha,"
especially in
especially in
Hong
Hong
Kong,
Kong,
that means to go eat dim sum. Yeah, the whole social element of it, of all friends coming, family, relations, sitting around a table and enjoying tea and eating dim sum. So why Yumcha? It's one of my earliest and happiest childhood memories when my grandparents raised me in Hong Kong. So back then in the 80s, I'm showing my age here, but we used to go.
You're a young kid, okay, as
Yumcha.
far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So back then, Yumcha and the dim sum in the 70s, 80s, and 90s as well, we used to go religiously. And like now, we probably go once a month, or at best, once every 2 weeks. But back then, we used to go 3 or 4 times a week.
Wow.
Right? Yeah,
That
yeah,
really
yeah.
was like
the
your
old-
kind of the center of your life in a way.
Yeah, and also my grandparents too, because obviously, look, they didn't go out, right? They had to look after me, so that was their, kind of day out to meet their friends. Like instead of going to the bar and have a few drinks, they went to dim sum tea house to have tea and dim sum. So they're one of my best,
Just to give me a
happiest
full
memories.
picture, what time of day was this typically at noon? Was this typically in the afternoon? Was it in the evening? What time would this happen typically?
Mainly either the mornings or the afternoon.
Okay.
Because dim sum would finish after that. Then we wouldn't have you wouldn't have
You
dim
don't
sum
have
in
it
the
for
evenings.
dinner, in other words. It's typically
No,
midday.
not back then. But some dim sum restaurants now open 24 hours and they have dim
Right,
sum
right,
in
right.
the evening
It's,
times.
right,
But
right,
back
right.
then, no, it was either the mornings or the afternoons.
Yeah, like in New York, I notice like when I go to dim sum in New York, it seems like the peak is the classic peak is like a Sunday at 11 or something like that. It's just packed.
Yeah. So I wanted to this be a tribute and in remembrance of my grandparents, especially my granny, who I was like very, very close with. Unfortunately, she passed 2.5 years ago,
I'm
and I
sorry for your
wanted to
loss.
do. Yeah, thank you so much. She meant a lot to me, and I really wanted to create something really special, and also to evoke those memories of childhood, nostalgia, the happiest moments where you lift the lid off the bamboo steamer, the dim sum steamer, and steam rises, and then you look in, and there's all your hagao siu mai, cha siu bao, egg tarts, right? So I
Yeah.
wanted it to be a really happy memory that would resonate with obviously a lot of Chinese and Cantonese and Hong Kong people. But obviously, for me, it's Yamcha. For you, it could be a Korean tradition.
No, it would still be Yumcha because I now I'm in New York, so I'm like a seasoned hand at dim sum. But I still remember my very first dim sum meal, which was a much older age than you because I wasn't brought up by a Chinese grandma. But I was in college and I went to dim sum for the first time, and it was like a magical experience. I was like, "What the hell is this? This is like you say, here are these little boxes or little bamboo things, and then magical little things are in there, and like, oh, everything was so tasty. It was such a memorable.
And everyone shared everything on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I meant was, for me, it's Yumcha, but it can resonate with other people in different cultures too. For my table, it was dim sum. For your table, it could be a different food, a different tradition, but the feeling remains the same. It's about the people we love, the people who shaped us, the people we miss, whether it's family, friends, or relations, getting around the table, breaking bread, respecting each other, sharing food, and creating your own core memories. So when people wear this watch or buy this watch and see this dial, it should bring them memories of going back to that table.
So anyway, so we were talking about dim sum, the meaning of this. I guess you can go into maybe the actual watch itself.
Yeah, the
How did
dial
you express
itself.
that
Yeah.
dim sum, and
Mm,
what the dial
sure.
represents and the process? Because you were telling me about that a little bit the other day.
Yeah, sure. So the dial of this watch, it takes 16 and a half hours to make. So you're like, yes, you didn't miss here. It takes 16 and a half hours to make. So it's a hand-pushed engraved transparent grand foil enamel. So that's definitely a mouthful. So the first 8 hours is engraved. So the pattern on this style is of the lid of the dim sum steamer of bamboo. So you have that rattan geometric pattern again, and that's hand engraved by Selton's in-house enameler and engraver, Master Qin. So he does everything by hand, and it takes him 8 hours to engrave those geometric patterns. And at the end of it, there's approximately 3,500 individually engraved lines. Okay. So he does everything by hand with a tungsten graver. So it's not a rose engine in guilloche or a lathe or anything like that. It's actually with a tungsten graver. And then on the other hand, then he rotates the die with a ball vise. So he's skilled and experienced enough to know when to apply certain pressure, when the engraving should be lighter or deeper. But obviously, you know, there's going to be human error, so the failure rate is quite high. So in combined across engraving, enameling, and also then polishing, it's above 40%. So for every 10 dials he makes, more than 4 dials are rejected. So after the engraving, then he starts the enameling process. So he chose a particular swatch of enamel, then he grinds that, and then he filters it out many, many times, washes it out until there's no other materials there. It's absolutely clean. So then this then helps with the enameling process to reduce bubbling or any other unwanted effects within the enamel. So he applies the enamel by hand, um, puts it in the kiln at 800 degrees, takes it back out, lets it cool down, checks it again, and applies repeatedly a minimum of 8 layers. Okay, so you can imagine how challenging and difficult that is. Okay, so if that dial survives, that takes up to 7 hours. Then the hardened enamel needs to be polished. So then he spends another 1.5 hours around and hand polishes the hardened enamel to coax and bring out all that lovely golden honey, um, chestnut, autumnal colors that you would see on a dim sum steamer. So if you see a dim sum basket steamer, it always has that patina, kind of dark brown, some kind of yellow, golden honey, because of all the steam, all the food, um, all the characters picked up over the years, right? And then that also represents my granny's life, is that she lived a very full life with lots of experiences, received a lot of love, uh, traveled, ate well, and yeah, that's why we chose this particular color. Because if you buy a new dim sum steamer, the bamboo color is obviously like an
It's
off-white.
very bland. It's just a
Yeah,
bland,
very bland.
sandy color.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So the dial of this color is it's fume around the edges, and then it's slowly then in the center you have this honey golden, uh, light brown fume effect as well, which because of the patterns and the engravings, it really lights up under different lighting. Like you've handled the watch in person, you can see in different lighting how each of the rectangles that's been engraved, and then within each rectangle, there's 40 individually hand engraved lines, how they play with the light. Some light, those lines go into the shadow, and in some light, the other lines then comes to life. So the dial almost ignites in certain lighting, and the light play on it is just incredible.
So, I just want to point out this grand foot anomaly process. You guys didn't invent this. This is, an
No, no, no.
age-old technique. But I would say, in terms of watchmaking, it's generally reserved. I think if you say a grand foot anomal dial to, a watch collector, you're talking about high horology. So it's interesting to bring this together with a micro brand. As far as I know, unique in that sense. One question for Master Ting, is that his name, or Master
Chin,
Master
Qin.
Chin? Oh,
Yeah,
QIN,
yeah.
Master Chin. Where did he learn his technique of both engraving and enameling and things like that? How did he
So he's
learn the
so
technique?
he's been in the industry, the enameling industry for many years. But engraving, he's actually self-taught. So that's the amazing thing about him. So he came across engravings on pocket watches. So when he was restoring pocket watches there, and with the enameling and ever, he saw the engravings on it and he took an interest on it, and that's where he dedicated um, a lot of his time learning the craft and learning about engraving. So for an engraver to also be able to do enameling and vice versa is very, very rare, because usually because they're completely distinct crafts. So usually and you usually do the engraving with one artisan and then you pass it on to the enameler, or vice versa, right? But for Master Chin to be able to do both at a very, very high level, it's very rare and very special. And that's also one of the reasons why I was very interested to do another collaboration with Selton, because like you mentioned earlier on, we did Joy, and then we did Joy Bawina, and now we're doing Yumcha. So technically this is our third collaboration with them, and it's really unheard of for, a community, a club or entity to collab that many times. But what drew me in this time is because the previous editions or collaborations we did was CNC machine, right? It's machine, but I'm a very big fan of handcraft. Anything that's handmade, so like guilloche, engraved dials, skeleton dials, anything like that. Like most of my collection are skeleton watches, or
Oh,
as the French would, yeah, as the French,
I didn't
because in
realize that.
skeleton dials, yeah, in skeleton dials you cannot hide, right? There's no dial to
Fair.
hide at the moment. Everything is laid bare, right? Any defects, marks, or scratches, or anything like that, that's left by the artisan, even wrist hairs or whatever, is
Hmm.
completely shown up in the dial, right? So that's what I respect and that's what I appreciate. Anything that's made by hand, that requires skill, requires attention, requires experience, and requires a lot of patience to do something of that size and of that nature. So when they told me that they were partnering with Master Chin, and Master Chin would be exclusively in-house for Celton only, that's
Oh,
when
when did that relationship start?
I think just under a year,
Okay.
just
And
under eight
and
years.
and Leonardo at Sultan, they also have previous Grand phenomenal dials, but did
Yes.
they also they didn't incorporate hand engraving as well as, or
There
were there
was
some
one.
other
They did.
ones?
There was
Oh,
one. There was one called Spiral, where it was hand engraved as well, and then also Grand Foyer enamel on top. So the dial has spiral.
oh,
Um,
okay. I'll have to look for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
engravings. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful watch. But for Yumcha and this particular geometric pattern, they have never done anything as complex, as detailed as this particular dial so far. So it's been one of the most challenging projects I've worked on. It's been really literally a labor of love. Like for this style, it took us 20 plus prototypes before we were actually happy with the final dial. So if you think about it, 16 and a half hours. 20 plus dials, you know. So
Yeah.
because I have such high standards, so does Leo, so does Master Chin. Three people sitting around and saying, you know, I don't think this is good enough. We all, you know, someone said, no, I think it's good, but then we get outvoted and say, no, I think I can do better, right? So at some point we were like, I think this is the one, and Master Chin goes, no. Give me some more time. I think I can do better, right? So that's the level he was taking it with, and we were like, okay, sure. If you think you can do better, but we're kind of happy with this already. And he was like, no, I don't want you to be kind of happy. I want you to be like, you know, kind of blown away. I want you to, you know, you're almost speechless when you see it. And to be fair to him, he's delivered. I couldn't be more happy and more proud of this watch. And the fact that it's a two-man team. It's Master Chin and his apprentice. Like, we were there in his workshop. We talked to him. I told him the story, like I'm telling you, why I want to do this watch, why it means so much to me, why it's so personal, how much my granny meant to me, etc., and all this. So I think that really resonated with him too. So he went and he went that extra mile. Like, he put in 110% into this, you know, because he wanted to do it justice. And also, you know, he wanted to make me proud of it too, because he knows how much this watch means to me.
Well, tell me, I think the main story is the dial, but
Mhm.
there's also the case itself, the choice of movement.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
is a little bit, you pointed out, I didn't, when I had, you were kind enough to share a prototype watch with me.
Hmm.
And I didn't immediately grasp, because I didn't have it side by side with Joy, the difference in case and things like that. What is the size and and is this a new case for Sultan watches and things like that?
Yeah, so this is a completely new, well, sorry, that's not wrong. It's not completely new. The proportions and dimensions are new. It's still the same case shape as Joy, but
Yeah.
it's much more refined and sleeker. The proportions, I feel, are much better. It wears a lot nicer compared to the Joy. Joy was 39 mm. It was 9.95 thick. The new Yumcha case is 38 mm, 8.35 thick, so much, much thinner without the crystal. So we've put on a top hat domed crystal, but the mid case, if you compare it to the Joy, is much thinner, right? And then you have obviously the transparent crystal on top. So from the side view, you're looking at it, it makes it look very, very thinner. But it is much thinner because 9.95 versus 8.35, you have what, 1.65 of extra thinness there. And then also the lugs, the proportion wise, it's 44 and a half lug to lug. I think it wears much more refined, much more sleeker. It hugs the wrist very, very well. And I think overall, I wouldn't say it's more dressier, but I would say it's classier. If you put it beside Joy, Joy would look more of the sportier watch, whereas this one would definitely be on the classier, dressier side, so to speak.
Which I think fits his personality. And then talk about
Yes.
the backside, first of all, because it's not
Mm.
just a plain case back.
Yeah, so let me talk a little about the movement. We decided to
Okay,
upgrade the
yeah.
movement too. We put in the new Salida. I think it's now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the latest Salida movement. I think it's SW200, but I stand corrected there. However, it's the new Salida upgraded movement with 65 hours power reserve. So we wanted to upgrade the movement. There's nothing wrong with a Miota. Miota is a workhorse. It's very, very dependable. But I think with this, we wanted everything to be an upgrade, right? From what Joy was, the case, the dial, the case back, the movement, etc. Everything has to be an upgrade, right? Because
And this
it's a
one is a
material that
manual wind as well, right? As opposed to
yes,
an
it's a manual
automatic.
wind, so that's why to keep
Again,
it that
goes with
thin,
the
you don't
kind
have
of a
the
little
rotor.
bit dressier. I mean, for
Yes,
those who
yes.
don't watch language, kind of manual wine is kind of the ultimate classic, very refined. I mean, even though some people might say, well, that's a lost feature. You have to wind it yourself. But for those of us who are idiots about watches, I'll say it that way. That's kind of the ultimate expression of refinement, because you really engage with the watch because you're winding it. You feel the gears as you're, kind of. And
Yeah. The
there are people
clicks,
who
it's therapeutic. It's
who spend
therapeutic.
a lot of time on what that feels going to be like. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So as I was saying, so it's a material the art style. We wanted like, the the best upgrade possible to complement the dial as well. So on the case back then, it's a closed case back this time, whereas the Joy was an open case back. It's closed case back, but we have a very touching, very whimsical, very nostalgic motif at the back. Again, we went back to our friend, 1 Hour Watch, Lee Yun Rapati, and we asked him to come up with because Lee designed our the packaging, the box, and then also the thank you card too, and also the tote as well. I passed you one at the time
oh
too, right?
yeah, and
Yeah, yeah,
I got to tell you, I use it all the time in New York, and people
yeah,
just spontaneously, not just watch people, just people in general, like
yeah,
give
yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
compliments about it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful design. So we went back to him and we told him exactly the story of Yumcha and the inspiration behind the dial, etc. And I told him I wanted something that was again me sitting at the dim sum table with my grandparents. So it's not the most technical or expertly drawn motif, and that was by reason. It's because it's a child's point of view of having dim sum with their grandparents. So it's almost as if you asked a 3 or 4 year old child to draw out what dim sum looks like, this is what the motif is, right? But you can still make it out. So basically, it's my point of view sitting with my grandparents sitting left and right of me. There's 3 cups of tea. There's there's 3 chopsticks. There's then 3 siu mai dim sum in the steamer, and then you have the table stand number, which is also number 3. So the tree, everything there, it represents um, the 3 of us, my grandparents and I at the time, and also then a nod to our 3rd-year anniversary. So that motif is stamped, and then the table stand number with the number on it, I've taken number 3, but we're allowing buyers to make it that extra special. So when you buy it, you can personalize it with your own number, 1 to 3 digits. It doesn't have to be sequential. So, for example, someone has taken 888, for example, already, okay? And then Master Qin then engraves that number by
Oh
hand,
wow.
that table. Yeah.
Oh, so
So it's a
that's the final bit of hand engraving.
Yeah, at the back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's again a nice personal touch again to for Master Shin to be involved.
great. Well, this has really been a
Oh
lot of
wait,
fun. Oh,
we haven't talked about the hands yet too, which
oh
are also
shoot,
very
you're
special.
right. I did
Yeah.
notice that. I mean, yeah. Tell me a little bit because from some points of view, they're very simple, right? They're just
Mm,
rectangular bars. Like at first you might even casually not even notice that there's any shape other than just simple
hmm.
lines.
Yes,
But there's
yes.
much more dimension to them than that, and I wasn't familiar. I don't think I've seen hands that look like this specific, like the
Mm.
shape that they are in, unless
Yeah.
maybe you came from a catalog or did you come up with this design or?
So it was Selton. This is Leo's design. So obviously yumcha, drink tea, dim sum. The hands have to be on theme too, right? So these are tea leaf designed hands. We call them tea leaf hands. Okay,
Hmm.
so they're diamond cut with frosted finish. So when you said like, the rectangular straight bar looking, that's the most visible and legible because it's frosted. Okay. But then the leaves left and right of that then are diamond cut. So when it's diamond cut, you almost have like a black polish effect there. So then in some lighting, you see one side of the leaf, and in the other lighting, you see the other side. But in some lighting, both sides of the leaf comes up. So it's again very, very dynamic. plays with the light beautifully. It's also on theme because if you think about it, tea leaves in a cup, the way hands move around the dial, it's like tea leaves unfurling in a hot cup of tea, slowly, gracefully moving around in the cup. So again, we put so much attention to detail in this watch. Everything was thought out really comprehensively. We spent hours and hours going back and forth on certain things, and eventually we all agreed on this. And I think it's a one. Look, I'm obviously I'm biased, but I'm incredibly proud and
No, I like it because like
yeah,
I said, at first I was like, wow, these hands, like, what is going on here? Because
mm,
they're
mm,
somewhat reminiscent of certain shaped hands that I've seen, but
yeah,
they were unique.
yeah,
And then as I started wearing it, just for a couple of days with your prototype, I was
yeah,
like, in some light, like you said, it was almost
yeah,
like a sport watch with just simple bars, right? Like just
yeah,
because the tea leaf part was almost invisible and you just
yeah.
saw, but one thing that I really like is, it depends on your watch guy, but one of the things I really love is clarity of indication of the time. Because, there's
Yeah.
sometimes you get a watch and you almost feel like it's a little hard to tell the time. And this one is
It's not
definitely one
legible.
where
Yeah.
it's like super legible, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like you say, there are all sorts of things going on. You can enjoy the light playing on the enamel. You can, the tea leaf aspect of the hands and stuff. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, there's no question ever about whether you can quickly determine what the time is.
Oh, absolutely. With legibility is always key for me, and that obviously from Joy too, that we went through three sets of prototypes for hands for Joy because we want to make sure that the watch is legible.
Yeah,
The watch is made to tell the time, right? And
yeah.
it's not just a piece on your wrist. So again, these are the factors that we thought about, and we came out with a beautiful tea leaf hand. So. Yeah, very, very proud, very satisfied with the end product, and yeah, I can't wait to show it to everyone. And also a little bit nervous and apprehensive about it too, because again, you don't know how these things go. Because when you're in working with a team of 4 or 5 people, of course, everyone where we have the same goal, right? We're going to like this watch. It's our creation, but when it's shown out to the world, you really never know how it goes. So fingers crossed, touch wood that people like it.
Well, congratulations. I hope it goes well. And thanks so much for spending some time on a Sunday evening with me.
No, you're welcome. Very welcome. Always happy to chat to you and catch up. And I can't wait to see you and have a drink with you. Maybe
Yeah.
at the Harvard Club again when
Yes.
I come in October
Anytime.
for Wine Up. Yeah, 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 for
All
sure.
right.
But thank you for having me.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
And give my best to Leo and Christina and, everybody there in Hong
For sure.
Kong.
They'll be there. They'll be there in October too. So you get to see
Great.
them
I'll
again.
see
So
them
we'll
again.